King Solomon, revered as the wisest man who ever lived, blessed by God with unmatched wisdom, staggering wealth, and immense power. But what truly happened to this great king? How did he, the man who built a kingdom so magnificent, end up lost in spiritual ruin? Was it pride, temptation, or something deeper that led to his downfall? Stay with us as we journey through the untold story of Solomon's final days. We'll uncover the lessons from his rise and fall, and how his tragic end holds lessons for us today. The beginning of Solomon's reign. In-depth introduction to Solomon's early life and ascension to the throne. Solomon wasn't just any ruler. He was the son of David and Bathsheba, chosen by God to follow his father's footsteps. But how did a man so favored by the Creator rise to such greatness? It started with humility. In 1 Kings 3, God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Unlike other kings who may have asked for wealth or power, Solomon asked for wisdom to govern God's people wisely. That request alone made him unique, and God, pleased with his answer, granted him not only wisdom but also wealth, long life, and honor. Solomon's wisdom and achievements. Solomon's wisdom became legendary. From resolving the case of the two women fighting over a child to writing 3,000 proverbs, Solomon's fame spread across the ancient world. He became the advisor to kings and queens, a symbol of divine wisdom. But his greatest achievement was building the temple of God in Jerusalem. It wasn't just a structure, it symbolized God's presence among the people of Israel. The height of Solomon's glory. Under Solomon's reign, Israel reached the pinnacle of prosperity. His kingdom was a beacon of wealth, power, and influence. Trade routes flourished, and his wealth was beyond imagination. From gold to exotic animals, silver was practically worthless in Solomon's court. He controlled the trade of luxury items like ivory and peacocks, creating a rich and diverse empire. But what did Solomon's immense wealth mean for him personally? Did it bring him happiness, or was something more elusive at play? The Queen of Sheba's visit. The Queen of Sheba, one of the most powerful women of her time, traveled a long distance just to see if the rumors about Solomon's wisdom were true. And indeed, she was amazed, declaring that his wisdom and wealth far exceeded what she had heard. Solomon had reached the height of worldly success, but this wealth came with a price. The warning signs, Solomon's compromise. Solomon's many marriages began as political alliances, relationships that were meant to strengthen his kingdom. However, this decision proved to be disastrous. He married 700 women and took 300 concubines. Many of these wives were from foreign nations, contrary to God's warning in Deuteronomy. These marriages, which seemed to be strategic, were the beginning of Solomon's spiritual decline. His heart began to be pulled away from God as he adopted the gods of his wives. The gradual shift away from God. Solomon's disobedience began subtly. At first, he allowed these foreign gods to be worshipped in his kingdom. But soon, he himself built high places for the worship of idols, gods like Ashtaroth and Chemosh. This wasn't just a small compromise, it was a flagrant violation of God's command. Solomon, the wisest of kings, allowed his desires to cloud his discernment, and his kingdom began to unravel spiritually. The fall, Solomon's spiritual decline. The turning point, Solomon's heart grows cold. As Solomon grew older, his heart turned further away from God. The man who had once dedicated the grand temple to the Lord now found himself building shrines for foreign gods. His devotion to the one true God began to wane, and his life, once marked by wisdom, was now filled with idolatry and disobedience. God's warnings and judgment. God, angered by Solomon's unfaithfulness, appeared to him twice, reminding him of his covenant and urging him to stay true to his calling. But Solomon ignored these warnings. In 1 Kings 11, God declared that because of Solomon's disobedience, the kingdom would be torn from him and given to another. Yet, God showed mercy by allowing Solomon to finish his reign in peace, but the repercussions would fall on his son, Rehoboam. Solomon's regret and Ecclesiastes. The book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon's reflections on life. In his final years, Solomon penned the book of Ecclesiastes, a work filled with regret and wisdom. He looked back at all he had achieved, and his verdict was shocking. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Solomon had everything, wisdom, wealth, and power, but he discovered that without a heart devoted to God, life was empty. The lessons from Solomon's life. Solomon's words in Ecclesiastes 2 verse 11 reflect the emptiness he felt. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. He realized that chasing after wealth, fame, and pleasure was futile. In Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13, he gave his final advice: fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. These words are a sobering reminder that our relationship with God is the only source of true fulfillment. The legacy of Solomon's life. What we can learn from Solomon's story. King Solomon's story is one of extraordinary promise and tragic downfall. His life teaches us that no amount of wisdom, wealth, or achievement can satisfy the longing of the human heart. Solomon, in all his greatness, fell victim to the allure of worldly desires. But through his story, we are reminded of the importance of staying faithful to God, regardless of the blessings we receive. The importance of finishing well. Solomon's life also teaches us that it's not how we start, but how we finish that matters. His reign began with promise but ended in regret. His story urges us to guard our hearts and stay devoted to the Lord, no matter how successful or prosperous we become. King Solomon had it all: wisdom, wealth, and power, but he lost everything because he allowed his heart to stray from God. Let Solomon's story be a cautionary tale for us all. How are we using the blessings we've been given? Are we staying faithful to God, or are we being pulled away by the distractions of this world? If this story spoke to you, please like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share it with those you care about. May we all learn from Solomon's rise, his fall, and the powerful lessons he left behind.